Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Tom Stewart here, Smart Business Moves. It's Tuesday, September, what is this, the 8th? Day after Labor Day. I hope everybody had an awesome Labor Day. Wow, this has been just a weird feeling day all day today. It's kind of felt like a Monday. It kind of felt like I was way behind. I was telling Rosemary Stader is our guest today. Hey, Rosemary, how are you?
Hi, I'm great.
Thank you for joining us today. This is going to be fun. We're going to be talking about cars, company cars, but Rosemary and I were lamenting over just what a weird day it is. And my day, I guess, really wasn't that bad compared to what you've been dealing with in the last 24 hours. What's going on in your world, Rosemary?
Well, last night we had a tornado close by that we saw, which was kind of scary. And I didn't do any damage. We have some customers with no power. And at the office, we had no internet and no phones today. So that was a challenge.
But luckily, no one was hurt.
Right. No damage and nobody was hurt.
Yeah. But, once you get past that little hurdle, then all that other stuff really is a huge hassle. Like, yes, nobody was hurt, but no internet, no phone. It's still hard.
Fortunately, we had a hotspot, so we were able to still get the internet most of the day, but it was slow because we were all on it,
Yeah. But that is like the best thing ever, right? That little hotspot.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah. So awesome. Hey, Leslie. Hey, good to see you guys. Yeah, I heard, I went and visited Rosemary, and she had these beautiful company cars, but really beautiful company cars. And then I heard she wasn't using cars anymore. And I was like, I love this story. Tell me the story, right? Because it's both ways can work. So I'm super glad that you actually told this story on a call. You were doing a call with Debbie. I can't remember what it was for. Do you remember? What it was?
It was. She has so many calls. It was one of the calls, and she just asked me to do a presentation on cars versus no cars. So that's where I did it.
Yeah, that's where I saw it, and I was like, "Ooh, that's cool." So I'm like, I definitely need to get her on. Yeah. How comfortable are you on camera, Rosemary? Are you comfy?
Sure.
That's good. I feel like the Facebook Live is easier for me anyway, than when I'm doing video. When I'm trying to do video, I'm like trying to get it exactly right. I can't make mistakes. But Facebook Live is so much better. Tom, I did want to ask you real quick, why is having a Monday off such a big struggle? How many years have you been doing this?
Well, I don't know. This was just weird. I don't know if it's like a COVID thing, we've been dealing with all these unprecedented events.
Ooh, good job, Tom.
You got it in early.
Well, you lump a day off, and it's just, but I took the day off. I worked a little bit, but it felt like a day off.
Was yesterday the day you called me? You pocket dialed me?
I pocket dialed you, yeah, I did. Yeah. Or no, it was Sunday, actually, maybe. Yeah. Sunday.
My brother does that to me. He pocket dials me about once every 6 weeks or so, and his name is Tom. The only two people that ever do that, Toms. It's a thing. Yeah.
I've been known to do it from time to time, and it's the people that are kind of at the top of my speed dial. So there you go, Liz. You should take that as a compliment.
Yeah, exactly. I do it for my kids.
Yeah. I have a feeling it's going to be a light day today because everybody's like you said, trying to get in. I'm looking at, we don't have very many people that are actually commenting, but it looks like we do have a few people on the call.
A few people on.
Yeah, a few people on. So maybe we can go ahead and get started because people are going to have questions for sure.
Do we want to talk about what we're doing the rest of the week before we forget?
Yes.
So we know what we're doing today. Rosemary is going to be sharing with us her experiences with and without company cars, and it's going to be awesome because there's arguments on there's no right or wrong to that. It's just a matter of building your model around, which way you want to go with that. So we're going to hear both sides of that tomorrow. Tomorrow is Wednesday, right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Alonzo Adams is going to be joining us. We all know Alonzo, and he's going to be sharing with us some of the details. We're going to be talking about the ARCC certification for professional house cleaners. Professional house cleaners, PHC. Does that sound familiar? We're basically working with ARCC, and ARCC is adopting that as a formal certification program for professional house cleaners. So for everybody who has signed up, has taken the PHC, or has in the process of training their technicians, their cleaning professionals with the PHC program, not only do you get a certificate of completion, but it's going to be a formal certification recognized by ARCC and ISSA. So joining us tomorrow, you want to hear that. That's going to be good stuff. Plus, Alonzo is always fun. Never really know which way he'll take it.
That's true. Yeah.
What are we doing Thursday, Liz?
So Thursday, we are going to be doing on the spot. Oh, you know what? Remember, Tom, I said that I wanted to put something in there, but then we're like, no, as long as you have a hint. No, I wanted to put the topic.
What is the topic?
Oh, can you type right in here? All right. So the topic is for on the spot. Let's see.
Well, Liz.
I know I'm trying to think of a good topic. This guest is well known for multiple things, being an expert in multiple areas. That's why I'm struggling a little bit about which one I want to do. Let's do managing wonderful employees. Let's go with that.
So the questions that we'll be taking, or at least giving priority to on Thursday, will be pertaining to how do we manage wonderful employees?
Yeah, or maybe not managing wonderful ones, because I mean, I feel actually that's probably bad verbiage. That basically says
developing, leading, making, having.
How about developing is better? Yeah, that's good.
Okay, that one's really easy, Liz.
Oh yeah, you know who this one is? Multiple businesses, and all right, because since Rosemary has not had a good time guessing what they are, but even she's thinking this one's easy, we'll leave this hint where it is, and then tomorrow I'll give an even better hint.
Okay. Well, there we go.
All righty.
Well, Sarah Mitchell wants to hear about company vehicles. She loves hers, but also don't like having them. That's kind of the way it goes, isn't it?
It is.
It's,
there's good and there's bad. So,
it's kind of like having a boat.
Oh, no, I think having a boat, there's a lot more bad than good. Ugh.
Well,
yeah. I don't know, unless you really love boats, I guess. They're so expensive that. Yeah. All right. So let's go ahead and get started. Rosemary, I know you have a PowerPoint that you created.
Okay. I will share my screen.
Yes, Pam. Yes, it is.
Well, heck, why don't we just go ahead and...
No.
Are you seeing it?
We are.
Okay.
You can't see us at all, Rosemary?
I can now, yes. I think so when I hit my now I can't see you.
Oh, you can't? Okay. Well, we can see you.
I'll just go through the presentation. So a little background. I had when I started my business, the reason I started with cars was because I always hired house cleaners when I worked in my corporate job, and I always had oil spots in my driveway and things like that. So I thought, I'm going to start a cleaning company, and I'm not going to do that. So My first mistake was I spent too much money on my cars. Like you alluded to earlier, Liz, they looked really nice because I spent too much money on them, but they were great advertisements.
Yeah.
They really helped to build my brand in the beginning. Typically, for the 10 years that I had my vehicles, I got 27% of my leads were directly from my vehicles, either because they were parked in front of my office. And in those days, I had a very, I was in an area where there was a lot of traffic that went by and saw my cars. And people always said, oh, I see your cars everywhere. And it was nice that the technicians always had a clean, on the outside at least, reliable vehicle. The drawbacks, they were, as everybody knows, a lot of work and frustration. We did have 2 major accidents, really bad ones in 10 years. That was kind of scary. Thankfully, no injuries. One car was almost totaled. She hit a deer, and I guess it was a big buck.
You know, we really are lucky, no injuries. She hit
really lucky. The auto body guy told me, he said, if I didn't see deer hide on this car, I wouldn't have believed that it was a buck that she hit, because there was so much damage.
Wow.
And then another one, she just rear-ended somebody getting off the expressway, and that person was pregnant. So I was really, really nervous, but thankfully no injuries. The cost of the vehicles is pretty high. Obviously, you have to have insurance, which isn't cheap when you own a business. The fuel, the oil changes, licensing, detailing, washing, the GPS. We had GPS tracking on them, which was really interesting because in the beginning, I always told people I have them, but still, when I had teams, I had one team go rogue on me, and like they were completely at an opposite end of part of town. And I said, what were you doing? And oh, they were having lunch at her father's restaurant on the clock. So the GPS tracking, that was helpful. And then another frustration, they always left trash in the car, and that just would get to me. They would smoke in the cars, even though it was totally against policy. And they often wanted to borrow them. They didn't warn us of the warning lights. And then finally we came up with a good program for tracking all of that. But it was a lot of work. We live in Ohio, so snow removal was always a pain. I didn't feel like they should start their day with removing snow. So I was usually out there doing it. They damaged the car.
About you.
What's that?
That does not surprise me about you, Rosemary. I could totally see you out there doing all the cars so that everybody else could have this nice, warm, start their job.
I did. And then the cars would get damaged and nobody would know how anything happened. So it was kind of frustrating. It seemed like we were always inflating tires. So 32 tires is a lot to do. We would typically go in on the weekends, my husband and I, and do that. So that was kind of a pain. And then I basically looked at what the cost of just the vehicle was. And again, I did buy expensive cars. So my suggestion is nobody ever does that. So over 5 years, it was probably about $13,000 a car. The fuel was about $7,000, and I had 7 cars, you guys. That's to kind of give you an idea. So the fuel was about $7,000 a year. License registration. And again, we live in Ohio, and our license was always due in February. So it was always freezing cold. We'd be out there and we put in the new tags on the cars. So again, I mentioned these before, all of these costs. So basically I calculate that over the cost of averaging the years, the 10 years, it was about $49,000 a year to keep those 7 vehicles operating. So based on 20% profit and an average sale of 135, I had to clean basically 1,817 houses a year just to cover those costs. So that's kind of my presentation. But the thing I wanted to say was the cost that I don't have in there, though, is the value of the marketing. And I think that Tom and Liz, you can speak to that. And that was not a small number, 27% of my business coming from, just the cars.
Yeah.
And then the other part of that was when I eliminated my cars, I switched from teams to solos. And the thing with me was I was never able to really get my teams operating efficiently. It always took longer than it should have. And that's true still today. When I have two solos meet up to do a house, it still takes like 2.5 times or 50% more time than it should. I just can't do it.
Well, that's actually one of the things that we teach in foundations is, some people are really good at managing time and some people are really good at managing quality. Whichever one you're better at managing, do that. Don't worry so much about trying to do it the way everybody else is doing it. Do the thing that you're really good at, because that's what's going to make sense for your business. And businesses can run, well, like you said, you ran really successfully with cars and also without cars. It can work both ways. You just got to figure out what's going to work best. So I love that. What were you going to say, Tom?
When did you decide to change your business model to move to solos without cars?
I think I went to actually a QDS meeting, and I was talking to some people there, and I just looked at the numbers, and I think the real thing was I had 2 technicians that were a team, and they moved far apart to other ends of, I'm using my hands like you can see them. They moved to other parts of the city. So I said, why don't you guys try this? And they were so against it. They were like, no, absolutely not. And I persuaded them to try it for 2 weeks, and they loved it. And then I just kept going.
Okay. So you kind of stuck your toe in the water, and it just kind of.
Yeah.
So was your primary incentive to get rid of the cars, or was it to go to solos?
The primary incentive was to be more profitable.
And they kind of go together.
Yeah, it all came together. I mean, that was the primary goal, was to improve my profit, which I did significantly.
Yay, congratulations for that.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah. So that is like a big thing. It's kind of funny. It's something that we talk about fairly regularly. I know you're new to the MMA groups, but you're going to hear that a lot now. Is, a lot of times people are talking about their KPIs and all the important numbers, but nobody measures profit. I'm like, what are you doing, y'all? A profit is kind of important. Let's measure that.
I'm a numbers person. I ran call centers, so call centers are all about numbers.
Oh, you know what? You ran call centers. That's like some heavy data-driven job right there.
Lots of algorithms. Yep.
Yeah, I got to pay attention to a lot of stuff there. Well, so tell us a little bit. So you told us a lot on your PowerPoint. You told us about a lot of the drawbacks, but what were some of the good things about having cars for some of our people that do have cars?
If you can run teams efficiently, I think you can do larger homes, which is a struggle for us. We don't really like to do houses that are, more than 4,000 square feet. So, and that's a challenge because we live where there's lots of bigger homes. But because as I said, when we put 2 people together, it's just not efficient for me. So I do in some of our larger houses, but it's just not efficient. But I think the marketing aspect is really good. And the technicians, some of them like to work together. I lost a really good technician last week. She was relatively new. She was doing great, but she was just scared to death being in houses alone with a man. So, those types of issues.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, that's a thing. Yeah.
She was younger, and she said she had a panic attack, and so she quit like on the spot.
Oh, wow. Well, she was probably going to go anyway. So after all these years you've been in business, Rosemary, some people are just not cut out for this industry for whatever reason, and it's a good thing when we can get rid of them or let them leave earlier.
And then some clients really, I didn't lose any clients initially, but I think over time I've lost a couple of clients now that want 2 people because they want you in and out quickly. So
Yeah.
that's definitely a big thing with having cars.
Then again, do you think maybe you have some clients that you wouldn't have otherwise because they want solos?
I think so, especially now with COVID, because we, sell that, there's only one person in your home as opposed to two. And, you could be in one part of the house while we're in the other part. So I think so. I mean, obviously that's how we sell it, but I think it's helped.
There's wins for both sides.
I think there are.
Yeah. If you only have one person in the house, also, things don't come up missing as often because it's just one person. I mean, we know who it was,
And on that note, our quality got better too because there was none of that.
Pointing. Yeah, absolutely. I feel like there's lots of wins. So
but
what is
there are some people that don't like to be alone too? They just like to have a partner. So that's
and a lot of people. Sorry, Tom. A lot of people also they think it's too hard to clean by themselves. It's like it's too much work. They have to do all the hard work. They don't get a break. Like you do get to do the easy work too.
It does balance out.
Yeah, it does. Go ahead, Tom.
No, Sarah wants to know if you saw any drop in leads after getting rid of the cars.
Well, we switched our advertising a little bit. That was when, AdWords was really coming more online and we were working more with our SEO. So where they came from changed, but my costs didn't really change that much.
So you were able to basically, through other means, still
keep it going.
The pipeline going.
So do you still spend that same amount of money, Rosemary, but just now in other forms of marketing? Is that what you're saying?
No, I don't spend nearly as much money. Yeah. Like my profitability went way up with it. And we've got a really, really great SEO guy. So, I mean, our phone is ringing off the hook and we're spending $8 a day now on Google.
Wow.
So we're super, super busy. We just, we're recruiting like crazy.
So by getting rid of the cars and going to solos, it sounds like at your cost of goods sold, your gross profit percent to revenue has gone up.
It has.
Okay.
It has, yes.
Are you able to generate as much revenue under this model as you were with the cars and teams?
Oh, I definitely think more for me.
Revenue too.
For me, it's definitely more, significantly more, I would say.
Well, how do you deal with the problem that you originally came up with cars for in the first place, the dripping vehicles and that kind of stuff? How do you manage that?
Well, when we interview, we one of us goes out and checks out the car. And we do. I got that from my call center job. My HR manager, whenever we were interviewing somebody, he would always go out to see what kind of bumper stickers they had on their cars. So he would always check that out. But we check it out and we tell them you have to have a reliable car and because they do travel quite a bit. So
like, I would hire you if it wasn't for that piece of junk car that you drove here. I'd hire you, but not your car.
Yeah.
But do you have that sometimes? I mean, because really, if people have junky cars and then they're going to impact whether or not they can come to work or not, right?
Exactly.
Do you have to have...
and our standards are low. They're kind of low for that. And we make them park. They have to park in the street, which is a good thing anyway, because I didn't even mention that. I think 5 of my cars got hit in clients' driveways over the years too, because they're not used to having cars there,
Yeah, we have had that problem before too, where the customer hits our car, backs into it. Yeah, we've had it too. Yeah. And also being in the driveway, we hit a lot more mailboxes. Like they cut out and then hit a mailbox. Yeah. You're making me not happy right now, Rosemary.
Or the one that cut too short and fall in the ditch and you have to get somebody to tow them out. Yeah.
I had to do that one time too. I had to call a guy. I don't know what you call it, but he put it up on a lift because she she backed up over the bridge. So they had a cement wall, and so the car was like over the wall. So he had to like lift it up, and I had to sign a waiver that if he damaged the car, they weren't responsible. Fortunately, he didn't, but that was embarrassing.
I don't even feel like that's embarrassing. I feel like that's just like par for the course, you know? Like when you were mentioning that you had 2 really bad accidents, those accidents did not really sound very bad to me. Nobody got hurt. You didn't end up with.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
I just got like nervous, you know? It's like, oh my God, they're in an accident, you know?
So nerve-wracking. Yeah. And that is really, but even if they're in their own car, it's still nerve-wracking, isn't it?
Oh yeah, I ran out the other day. One of our technicians was in an accident, and I flew out of the office to just give her support, and it was fine, but scary for her.
Yeah, but not having anyone hurt. And plus, you had like you mentioned 2 accidents over how many years?
Yeah,
that's 1 year for us.
I was going to tell you about Portland. We had 2 accidents in like 9 months, Tom.
I don't know. Well, it wasn't something like that. It wasn't good.
And one of the accidents, I just got to tell this other part of the story, Tom. One of the accidents, there were 3 people in the car. All of them were 3 people, or were there 4 in that car, Tom? Do you remember? Anyway, they were all injured, Rosemary. Ooh. All of them.
I don't want to know how much your insurance costs because mine was already expensive.
And sometimes injuries can be bad.
Yeah.
There's one in particular I can think of, and the driver of the car, his nickname was the Cat because he did maintenance work and he'd had a couple of other close calls. I mean, he wasn't hurt bad, but he'd already had the nickname the Cat.
Oh, wow.
It was a head-on accident, and he was like in the hospital, and people were, you know, he got okay, you know, he got better, but it was when you saw the car, it would just take your breath away. It was like, my gosh, we're lucky that everybody survived.
Wow.
That can happen
too, where our car T-boned another car and totaled our car. 3 people in the hospital. One person but all 3 were in the hospital, were hospitalized, but 2 were let go within 24 hours. The other one was there for a week. And it wasn't, so really that's my idea of a bad accident. Yours, I was like, dude,
that would give me a heart attack.
Yeah.
Did you find that, I guess we've talked to several people on Smart Business Moves who've made transitions from teams to solos, and like one of the observations that keeps coming up is the demeanor, the behavior set for a solo cleaner is different than somebody who works as a team. Did you see that you had to basically hire new people who had the disposition of working as a solo?
You know, all my people transitioned. I didn't lose anybody over that. But you do bring up one thing that I also enjoyed a lot. It's been a long time, so I'd forgotten. But in the morning, when everybody comes in the morning, that's what we did. It just, I felt like it was wasted time because, they weren't quick. Cause I just, I'm not good at managing time. Like you said, I'm more focused on quality, Liz. So in the morning, I didn't want to say, you got to go, start your day. And so it would sometimes be a half an hour. And what would happen often, if one person was in a bad mood, then they're complaining and whining, and everybody's in a bad mood. And by the time they left, sometimes Talia and I would be like, oh, thank goodness they're gone, because it was like getting your kids off to school. So when we had solo technicians and we don't have that anymore, it was so much more pleasant. So they don't have each other to complain to. So yeah, morale is better.
And so who was it? I think Sarah was asking, they go straight to their homes then from their house?
Yeah. So and I saw somebody posted on Facebook about this, but how we work is we schedule them once a week. They have to come in, and it's on their schedule. And it's not like somebody said that they had, their technicians weren't coming in. Well, that's like not even an option. It's like cleaning a house. You have to come in, and that's when we actually do an official one-on-one with them. We have certain things we cover. We try to find lots of things to compliment them about, with their previous week, and go through their schedule. That's when they replenish their supplies and equipment gets checked and replaced, if anything needs to be done like that. And then the other thing we do to keep people engaged, because that's the one thing is that you have to watch, is we do a weekly Zoom meeting every Monday morning. They go like down the street from their first house, and we do a 15-minute Zoom meeting to help us keep everybody engaged. But there again, we're like leading it, and we're, trying to get them to participate, but nobody's going to be complaining on those calls. So again, it keeps morale up.
Yeah. I could see that too. So all in all, you have never regretted your decision to.
Oh, no, not for a second. Not for a second.
But it does also sound like using the cars in the beginning was a really good way to initially grow your business.
I think it was. Yes, I do. I do think it was. Yep. Because people would say, "Oh, I see your cars everywhere." And it's like, for a while I had 3 or 4, so, and we were in a very good location. Like we were off a very major artery, and people could see our cars.
Yeah, we were talking about More Hands, that they are one of the things that they do. We were talking about this last week. One of the things that they do with their cars is they have a very distinctive car, and they choose their office based on location. You hear a lot about location,
Yeah.
but it's critical. They're going to be on a major thoroughfare because it's.
Well, there was a guy, his name, I can't remember. His name was Jack, and he had Scions too, like I had. And his whole car was like bubbles. And he was in San Diego. Do you remember him?
Yes.
His name.
But do you remember him, Tom? He was a really good friend of Lynette's, remember?
Yes.
His name is Jack?
Yeah, Jack.
He had like reddish hair, kind of.
On the tip of my tongue.
Yeah, I can't think of it. But he had a bunch of company cars, and every weekend he would take them out and then somebody else and park them in parking lots.
Yeah, he did do that. I forgot about that. Good idea, too. I forgot.
Yeah, he said he got a lot of business from that.
What was his name? Jack? Oh, you know what? I'm going to Facebook because he's still a friend of mine on Facebook. I'm going to search.
Okay.
I'm going to type in Jack and see. I feel like it starts with a B. George.
What is it?
George.
Yes, Jack George. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Remember him? Yeah. Anyway, that was fast. That was easy. Facebook to the rest of the friends. Okay, let's see. We got a couple of things coming in here. Pam, we have to not to park in the driveway. Yep. If they have their own cars, unless the client offers their super busy where we dangerous to park there. Yep.
Oh, yeah. Your SEO person. You need to hit her up.
She'll hit you up if she wants to on the side there, Leslie. We're probably going to hit you up in the MMA, Rosemary.
Oh, okay.
Sense of ownership of the cleaning of that program seems just a job.
I agree with that, Leslie.
That's right, their own business.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, more. I mean, there is a lot of value in solos for sure. It's a weird thing about cars. One of the things that you mentioned, I thought one of the things I love about your PowerPoint, Rosemary, is you put stuff on there that people totally forget about. Like if you have cars, people are expecting you to let them borrow your car sometimes. Their car broke down and they want to borrow your car and they think it's fair. Why shouldn't they?
Why not? Yeah, why not?
I drive it all day long. Why are you being so stingy with your cars? Yeah.
Or can I just take it home?
Yeah.
And I did, I did let them. The one accident with the deer, it was like right before Christmas, and I did let her have the car. So
she had the accident driving home or driving on her own time.
No, at night to visit her boyfriend.
Well, there you go.
Oh God, that's kind of. I'm actually glad you said that because 50% of your accidents were off company time.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
One of my favorites was we would occasionally let people take cars home, and the lady driving the car had stopped by to buy a bucket of chicken, and her bucket of chicken was falling over in the passenger seat, and she got distracted with her bucket of chicken and ran into somebody.
Oh, okay. I got a good one too. I know somebody that is here locally, and she let her employee borrow her car, and she only has one car, but it's that same thing where you see the car everywhere, right? And somebody took a picture of her car in front of the local pot shop. I mean, we have a lot of pot shops, but this was a while back, and yeah, it kind of.
Somebody has to clean the pot shop, right?
Yeah, it was open. It wasn't good.
Pot shops have to be clean too.
You're right, Tom. They do. Yeah, you're right. Do you? Oh, this is a good question. Do you put magnets on your cars or toppers or car toppers or anything?
You know what? I've been thinking about car toppers, but then I think, oh, they have so much in their car already. I don't know. Do they want a car topper? But I would like that idea.
So you should hit up in group, talk in group, because quite a few people have either done it, are doing it, something like that.
Okay.
The right kind that have the right kind of magnets, and some of them are only certified for up to 50 miles an hour. I'm like,
that would work for us.
That's not good.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure who Leslie is talking about, but Rosemary, I assume it's you.
That's Rosemary. It's not you, Tom. Tom's really sad though. You need to give him.
It's like really. It's like.
Yeah.
Thank you if you're talking about me.
Your skin does look amazing. She is about you. I can tell. I'm looking at your face. Tom, your hair looks very nice though.
Well, thank you.
Well, I haven't had a haircut in my hair hasn't been this long since I was 20. I haven't had a haircut.
Oh, was it COVID?
Not since COVID, no.
Wow.
Wow. Yeah, your hair is long then, if that's what's gone out since. Yeah. Woo.
And it's so much easier. I love that.
Yeah, I do love easy hair, I have to say.
Oh, yeah. I'll never go short again.
I think short hair is really good too for some people, right?
Oh, it is. It's really cute, but it is. I think it's more work.
I kind of go back and forth sometimes, so I don't know. Tom's hair. It's short. And I see how much effort he puts into it. He like, that's it. It's this.
It used to be longer, and I mean it was a while ago. I just put a bandana around it and go. It'll all be good.
Oh, Robin, good question. What do you reimburse for car mileage? What other costs do you pay for people driving the cars? Appreciate your thoughts. Did you pay?
So I did in the beginning, and it was so much work. It was just a pain. So instead, I gave everybody across the board, I increased what I was paying. And I said, it covers mileage. And we're very clear when we hire that the reason you're making this hourly rate is because it includes reimbursement for mileage, because tracking mileage was a real pain. So I make that very clear from the very beginning, from the interview and, when they're hired. And so it's not an issue, and I don't reimburse it anymore. I have one person I grandfathered in that I still pay, but nobody else.
You just pay a higher wage.
I pay a higher wage. Yep.
You're muted, Liz.
I'm muted because my cat loves to run over my keyboard.
Yeah.
It makes me crazy. Trip. Ugh. I was asking, darn, what was I asking? Oh, how much more do you have to pay so that people don't argue that?
I don't remember how much I went up, but I know I'm one of the highest paying in my area. Our techs are typically making, I'm going to say for the newer ones, 16 to the more experienced ones, up to $20 an hour.
Oh,
And then after tip, way more than that.
Is that for the entire day or the time they're in the home?
For the time that they're in the home.
Okay. So is that how you what type of pay plan do you use?
I pay percent, and it's based on hours worked. So it's 40 for less than 30. It's between 30 and 35 hours. It's 43, and 45 and above, it's 46. But I do want to say one thing to you, Tom. Since we switched to May Central and they're getting that feedback form, would you like to leave a tip? I mean, it's unbelievable how many more tips we're getting.
Okay.
It's like they don't want to say no. So, I mean, my techs are making a lot of money in tips.
Nice.
Wow.
The thing I like about it is not even how much that they're making, but that they know they're making it. They see it. I mean, before they would get a couple bucks here or there. They don't feel like they're getting very much money. But when they're, oh, sorry, go ahead, Tom.
Do you think solos clients are more inclined to tip a solo as opposed to a team?
Yes, if you're not changing, I think so, because they get to know them better. I mean, that's been my experience.
Right.
I think the clients maybe are a little more loyal.
And even if they don't know them, it's kind of like if it's a team of people, it's, you know, who you guys split this, how you do it, but it's like one person, and it's like the homeowner and the one cleaning technician looking at each other as, you know, she's getting ready to go out the door. It seemed like we just feel a little more awkward if you didn't tip her.
I agree. I think that's true.
I never would have thought of that.
Do you when you're in your recruiting, do you talk about how much of their income they get through tips?
Yes, we actually do a PowerPoint, and we really don't put much in there about tips because it's just since with May Central where it's gone up that much. Mm-hmm. So we are going to start doing that now.
Okay, I love that.
I mean, we always say you plus tips, but now I think I'm more comfortable saying, you know, you can make $50, $100 a paycheck.
Because you see it now.
Yeah.
There's a way to actually, and that's not even all they're getting, because sometimes they're still getting cash.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Yeah, of course. Oh, that's for you, Tom.
Please explain on how to ask clients to tip techs if they are happy with cleaner.
Expand, please expand.
Rosemary, do you want to explain how it works?
Sure. So immediately when the technicians clock out of a job, they get a feedback form. The client gets a feedback form where they rate our cleaning. And if they rate it positively, then it says, thank you so much. And would you like to tip your technician? And I think they feel bad if they don't. Because then people will say, oh, I already did. I paid cash. But
they don't want you to think
they're coming through.
Did you find that when you went to solos and got rid of the company cars or started phasing them out, that you had a harder time just recruiting people? I mean, the population of people who could be candidates to be hired, I guess, got a little bit smaller. They had to have a reliable vehicle, had to have a driver's license. You do teams, you can even have people working for you if they can get to work, if they can get to work somehow that can clean and not be a driver. So how did you, were there any challenges for you dealing with that smaller pool of people that you could hire from?
I think that hiring has always been a challenge for us. And so I definitely think it did get harder. It's hard for me to, quantify that, but because we screen them out like right away, it's a knockout question, on Indeed. So I'm not sure, but I definitely think it did have a negative impact on hiring.
Yeah.
But it had a positive impact on turnover. So
nice. Yeah. The funny thing about that is I'm really glad you said that, because a lot of times people say, my people won't want to work by themselves. They tell me all the time, the vast majority of people don't want to work alone. They need a buddy. They need a partner. But routinely what we hear is from companies that go to solos, they get a big boost in that turnover number.
My people did not want to do it. They did not. I had to initially, I said, if you don't like it, you can come back. And nobody came back.
And you made them do it for 2 weeks, right?
2 weeks. The first team, yep, for 2 weeks. And after 2 weeks, they're like, no way. Because my territory is fairly big. And so when you're doing teams, the other part is you have to do twice as many houses, or at least 3 houses, if not 4, in a day. Whereas the solos are only typically doing 2.
I had another question about this, about the cars. Oh, do you ever run into a problem where, and I know you do, so I'm just wondering how you handle it, when somebody's car breaks down? What do you do?
Yeah, it's pain. But we still, we had it before where they couldn't get to work because they didn't have a car, So, and that's what I explain when I'm interviewing. It's like, yeah, you have to drive your car, but you're not coming to work. So it's just like driving to work every day. And at the end of the day, you just have to drive a little bit in between houses.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I sell it.
It's only in between 2 houses.
Exactly. And then we definitely have to keep those close together, or, on the way to or from.
When somebody's car breaks down, though, they say my car's broke down, I might not be able to get it fixed for a couple of weeks. It's going to cost X amount of money. Do you loan them money to get their car fixed?
I have. My accountant doesn't like it.
Right.
I don't do it. I haven't done it in a long time. I did do it.
You just take them off the schedule and say, well, I'm sorry, you get your car fixed, let me know. And
yeah.
Do you have any kind of a time frame, Rosemary? I know that some people haven't put a time frame on it. Listen, you have to have your car fixed within 2 weeks. Otherwise, you're going to forfeit your job.
I kind of, we have our attendance policy, and my business got a lot better when I started enforcing my attendance policy. So it's like, if you can't come to work and you miss 2 days, then, if they're good, I'll say you can reapply, but I don't. I'm kind of tough on that one.
Yeah.
I mean, if they don't have a car, they're not cleaning homes, so you have to assign those homes to other people, I guess.
Exactly. And it's usually just the tip of the iceberg. I don't know. I just, I find that if that starts early on, it never gets better.
Do you wind up giving a 3rd home to a person, or do you have extra people floating around?
No, we don't usually give we're pretty, our clients are, I know some people work late, but our clients, they want us out of their house by 5 o'clock.
I guess it's only 2 homes. So if somebody has an opening, you can give them to them. If not, you just wind up rolling them forward until you can.
We bump them. Yeah. We try not to, but we bump them. It's a lot easier now with COVID as an excuse.
And you believe that turnover has?
Oh, my employee turnover, it has drastically improved. Yeah. With solo technicians. Yeah, it definitely has.
One of the main reasons
is awful, but previously
attendance, I would presume, is better.
Yeah. Because
if I'm not there, who's going to clean my customer's home?
Exactly. I do think somebody said something about ownership in the comments. I saw kind of go by quickly. And I do think there is more ownership with solo technicians.
I think that was Leslie, right? Yeah, she did. Yeah. She said that. Robin also has a question here about drive time. He wanted to know if you pay drive time. Oh, you pay because it's included in your percentage.
It's commission. Yeah, we pay commission, so it's all included.
So they do pay it, but it's not additional, Robin. And then when you have bigger cleans, you send 2 or 3 people to clean, or?
Yes, we do. Yeah. We do. We really price those cleans really high because we really don't want the business, and there's plenty of business, so it's not really an issue. But so they're not our ideal client, but yeah, we have, plenty of clients that we send 2 people to.
Do you think there's any difference in creating the thought in your cleaning professionals' minds that, I'm cleaning these homes every week, every other week myself. What do I need Rosemary for? Have you ever had anybody solicit your customers?
That I know of, early on, one person did that, and I had teams back then. And then since then, I had one. I just recently found out that one of my technicians did it, and boy, she just gave me a snow job, and I bought the whole thing. I gave her money to buy a plane ticket to go visit her sister. I gave it to her. I gave her a couple extra vacation days, and here she was using the money to start her own business.
God, you are a soft-hearted person. Yeah, that's tough.
But only one. And if they're making enough money and having consistent work, I've hired a few people from care.com because they said, they couldn't consistently stay busy. And, so I think the risk is kind of low if they're making good money. And we also talk about the fact that, you get Social Security and Medicare and all of those good things. You might not think about it now, but someday you'll really be glad that you paid into those, and it's a lot better than getting 1099.
Yeah. Especially in a COVID world, right? I think there were a lot more people going, oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Speaking of our time, we're short on time here.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to know, have you heard anything? I know that here we're getting $300 a week now instead of the $600. But have you heard any other changes?
Is that money actually going out? I mean, that was the discussion, the plan. Do you know people actually getting the 300?
I haven't heard of anybody getting it, but they're not supposed to get it until September 17th or something like that, right?
I know that there's the whole budget thing needs to be resolved by the end of the month, or they're going to have to shut the government down again. And that seems to be the focus at the moment. The unemployment rate dropped below 9% last Friday, and there's a lot of people feeling good about that. And the people that were saying that we really need to kind of slow down on handing all this money out anyway, or have a little more ammo, I guess, to support that argument. So it's my understanding this week, the focus is trying to figure out how to not shut the government down by the end of the month. And it doesn't seem like that additional employment benefits is as high a priority now as what it was, late last month.
Good.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, happy for me. I did. Robin asked you another question here.
I was just going to say real quick. Yes, I do have the clients and the employees sign in on solicitation.
Have you had to enforce it, Rosemary?
I had a lawyer write a letter to the first one years ago who did it to cease and desist, but I haven't done anything about this other one because I just,
Yeah.
I don't think she's gone after any of my clients. She just started her own business. I don't like it, but
yeah,
I think karma will get her.
There you go.
I'm a big believer in bad karma.
Well, we're at the top of the hour here, so wow, we could have gone on. Rosemary, you're gonna have to come back, and we're gonna. I feel like if there were questions that needed to be asked that we didn't get to. I mean,
but I feel like we did pretty good. I mean, we got a real good balance, both sides, good stuff, bad stuff with cars, right? And The only thing that we really didn't talk about very much is how much they trash your freaking cars.
Yeah,
That was so annoying.
we can do a whole show about just horror stories with company cars. So we could probably dig into that. I suspect that you have to buy more vacuum cleaners and equipment and stuff like that to do solos because everybody needs to have their own stuff.
Yeah.
I've heard some people with solos have had bad experiences where employees were like cleaning homes on the side on their own and using equipment and supplies and so forth. I mean, there's probably some stories and lessons that we didn't get a chance to dig into, but we know where you live, Rosemary. We'll pick this up again.
Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you. This was good, useful, and fun. And when you can do something useful and make it fun at the same time, that's about as good as it gets. If you haven't subscribed to Cleaning Business Today, it's really easy. Go to cleaningbusinesstoday.com, plug in your email, first name, last name. You'll be on our newsletter list. You'll get updates, get the inside skinny on things like Deal Day. If you want to get access to all of our Smart Business Move downloads and other resources, I'll drop that link in chat. It's cleanbusinesstoday.com/SBM resources. Tomorrow, Alonzo is going to be with us, Alonzo Adams, and we're going to be talking about the new certification program for cleaning professionals, the PHC program, which is very quickly, if not already, it's going to be recognized as a formal technician certification program by ARCSI/ISSA. So you don't want to miss that. Oh yeah, Molly has her first appointment tomorrow to be groomed for the first time. So we're going to have
I can't wait.
Yeah. So if you want to see that, come tomorrow. That's worth the price of admission right there, right?
I definitely want to see that. Oh, and look, Robin, look at the end there. He loves our hairstyles.
Thank you, Robin. Thank you very much.
Come tomorrow and you can see Molly.
You guys take care. Be safe. We'll see you tomorrow, 5 o'clock Eastern. Bye-bye.
Bye, y'all.